Welcome back to another episode of Caps Off. We are a day removed from the Super Bowl, and as you can tell, Jack literally looks like he's a day removed from the Super Bowl. This dude is struggling. What's up, Jack?
Hey, Jack.
It's not very bright outside. Well, I'm also inside, so that's a thing. But the sunglasses are because I got like designer Prada bags under my eyes from the last week. I'm very tired, very exhausted, but in a good way. So it's been crazy.
For the listeners at home, Jack is still in Arizona post Super Bowl hangover. He got to go to the game with the Game Day's very own Jay Bobby. It seemed like a sick time.
Sick.
Was Rihanna better in person?
So everyone, I was looking on Twitter after the game, and everyone was like, "Oh, Rihanna, like it was pretty mid performance, or should have brought on a guest." Blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, Rihanna don't need a guest. Like person.
No, she had the guest. It was just in her tummy.
Yeah, true.
What?
She had the guest. It was just in her tummy.
Oh yeah. Well, see, you couldn't tell she was pregnant and everything on stage. I was just saying she looked good from where we were all the way up.
She looked good. She looked good at home too.
She looked even better.
I also disagree with the haters. I thought that was a top Super Bowl halftime show.
I enjoyed it.
So good.
I think it made it even cooler, the fact that was her baby reveal.
Agreed.
Like, she had a fucking child, and that child was bumping in there.
Yeah.
I texted you guys earlier, I wish I was the one had the umbilical cord attached to me. I wish I was bumping in there on stage. That was sick.
Fucking weirdo, dude.
That was lit.
Yeah, I think the halftime performance was better than last year's. Last year's, I think there was like 2 or 3 cool moments. This whole show was a lot better.
It was a performance. Yeah. Like, it genuinely felt like Rihanna was performing again. She hasn't performed on stage since 2018. Like, there was a nostalgic factor there.
I could
really
understand the hate on, like, not having guests. Like, I thought everyone thought, Jay-Z, Kanye, Drake would come out, one of those guys.
But, like,
no one ever thought Kanye was going to come out.
Kanye,
but yeah, Jay-Z or Drake might have come out. And I get that, but even so, like, it was a fucking great show. Yeah. I thought it was a great show.
It was sick.
It was dope. But how about the game, though, man?
How about him?
I feel like we've been talking about the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes for so long this season, especially after they lost Tyreek Hill, and we all questioned whether they were going to be the same team that they've been, whether they would have that same offensive potency that they've had over the past few years. And ups and downs throughout the season, but came to play in the playoffs, ended it with another Super Bowl, another Lombardi trophy.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a lot to talk about that, but what a game, man. I thought it was a great Super Bowl.
I got a prompt for you that actually Felipe made for us yesterday. He threw this poll up on IG. And Jack, I want to know what you think. So you're going to have to pick one. The Chiefs earned that win, the Eagles blew that game, or we should blame the refs. Which is your instinct?
I'm going to go, it's a combination. I'll say it's a combination of the first two.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Chiefs won the game.
Yes.
Right? They scored on every single possession in the second half. They won the game. But the Eagles also blew a 10-point lead. And the Eagles with a 10-point lead, heading into the game, if you would have told me the Eagles had a 10-point lead in the second half, or heading into the second half, I would have thought they won that game because that favors their script.
Totally.
How they want to play the game.
Totally.
Run the ball, chew time off the clock. The first half, the time of possession was so skewed towards the Eagles. Yeah. The second half, I would have said, look, run the ball. Jalen Hurts, he's the dual threat quarterback that he is. You're just going to have so many opportunities to take the time off the clock and go win the game. I'd have thought the Eagles won the game. So I think they blew it. They couldn't stop anything offensively that the Chiefs were doing offensively. They couldn't stop anything defensively, I should say. And then they sputtered on offense.
I think I like that you put that last option too, but anyone blaming the refs is just looking to have a scapegoat. Because at the end of the day, yes, it was a blown call, you could say, but it was the right call. That's the call. It is holding.
It was not a blown call.
It wasn't a blown call.
James Bradbury said, I held him. Now, granted, you could make the argument you don't make that call in that moment, but at the same time, like, the call's the call. No, you blew a 10-point lead. The Chiefs could not be contained in the second half.
I said this last night. You have to make that call in that moment. Because you got to make the call. If it's the right call, you make the call.
Well, you get the call because it's Patrick
But also,
Mahomes.
they made that mistake earlier in the game on Juju Smith-Schuster where they held him very blatantly in the middle of the field. He didn't get to the ball. And then he got up complaining. Pat Mahomes was like, that's a hold, all this stuff.
It was bad. It was a bad one, too.
And Felipe, I think you were the one who said it. Like, at the end of every half of football, the refs will go back and review their calls, all their calls. Right. They'll decide that was a mistake, missed call, or like great call, whatever it is. So I'm sure that the refs went back there at halftime and said, we got to make sure to call this. This is a hold every time. And yeah, it was a frustrating situation to be in. And I had a friend who was saying defensive holding is stupid, shouldn't be 10 yards. Like it should always, like he's been saying that it should only be 5 yards. Different conversation.
It actually is 5 yards.
Is it? It's an automatic first down. That's what it is. It shouldn't be an automatic first down is what it is.
Just for the sake
But yeah, I want to hear my take. I want to hear what Jack says.
Yeah, I want to hear what Jack says. But if I have to pick one strictly because it said pick one and not pick two, I'm going with the Chiefs won that game.
I agree.
The Chiefs out-executed the Philadelphia Eagles.
Which is what they do.
Which is what they do. That's why we keep saying and talking about them with the Patriots. Like, no matter how good you are, you have to play the entire game to beat the Chiefs and Andy Reid. Down 10, we were talking with Colin off screen. It did not feel like a 10-point lead was anything that the Chiefs could not overcome. Like, this was something so – none of us at the half were like, oh, the Eagles are going to win this game. So I think the Chiefs went out there. They out-executed the entire second half. And if anything, I think Nick Sirianni and the Eagles kind of took their foot off the gas. They should have stepped on their throats, and they didn't. So if I'm picking one, I go with the Chiefs. Absolutely won that game.
Jack, talk to us, man.
Yeah. See, I want to let y'all cook for a little bit because it's tough over Zoom.
Yeah,
but no, I think if I had to lean one way, I'd say the Chiefs won that game. And that's not just because I'm wearing the jersey. I'm really not a Chiefs fan. Everyone that listens to the pod knows this. I just got to rep my boy Nick Bolton. Hell of a fucking game. But if you look at it from a standpoint of, I think Nick Sirianni just got ridiculously outcoached by Andy Reid. Andy Reid figured out a game plan to where he knew the plays to get his offense in the right position the whole game. The Eagles led the NFL in sacks this season, right? They didn't sack him one time. And you're talking about Patrick Mahomes on a bum ankle too, and you can't get it in one time. That's all play calling. That's schematically. That's all the offensive line stepping the hell up. They beat the shit out of the Eagles in that way, I think.
They beat the shit out of them, and I think that he brought up a great stat that we didn't talk about yet. No sacks allowed. The Eagles led the league in sacks this past year.
Yep.
Not just by a little, by a lot. And that is their strength, is getting after the quarterback. Well, we always talk about a great pass defense. It's getting after the quarterback, and it's defending on the back end in the secondary. And that's the Eagles' strength. For them not to get to Mahomes one time, playing on a bum ankle, re-injured the ankle, and he was still able to escape, get his yards. The rushing prop did hit. Not the passing yards didn't, but the rushing prop. It's a testament to what that offensive line did, the investments that they put there, Creed Humphrey, Orlando Brown, and Pat Mahomes was able to
Just to put into perspective how good the pass rush is of the Eagles, you told me this yesterday, Felipe, that 4 players on their defense had 10 sacks this season.
Yeah,
that's
which
crazy.
Is insane.
That's insane. You know who deserves credit that is not being talked about is Steve Spagnuolo, the DC for the Chiefs. Because there were moments in the second half where we knew all season Jalen Hurts was not as good of a quarterback against the blitz, and they sent the house and took him out of rhythm, and he had to scramble. Oh, what's up, Justin?
Hey, J. Bobby, what's going on, bro?
Making an appearance. What's up?
J. Bobby, how was the game?
Stop that Justin shit, Adam. Hey, listen, I want to say this. The Eagles defense tricked y'all. They ain't shit. If you look at Mahomes' first Super Bowl, the Niners had him in hell until the fourth quarter. If you look at the Bucks had him in hell. The Eagles, no fucking sacks. That defense is fucking ass. Rihanna was great. I don't know how that shit looked on TV, but in that shit looked amazing. She looked great, and she's pregnant. What you want her to do? I don't want to see Jay-Z. I want to see Rihanna. I want to see that woman twerk and do her damn thing. It was great. It was a great Super Bowl. That holding penalty, yes, it was a holding penalty, but you didn't have to call that, man. Come on, bro. It was a great game, nonetheless. That defense is ass. Hassan Reddick, no sacks. Fuck that guy.
hey, in the podcast, that's the only analysis you need right there. I'll catch y'all.
Jay Bobby with the best analysis the podcast has ever seen.
Bro, that was awesome.
That was beautiful.
I was just saying, I feel like
Jay Bobby, I don't know if you can still hear me, bro, but I'm glad you had a good time. It looked awesome.
I think Steve Spagnuolo. I mean, I thought the Chiefs, we talked about the Eagles defense all year. The Chiefs defense did not get enough credit. Frank Clark. Chris Jones didn't even do anything, but his impact was felt amongst the defensive line. And then Nick Bolton, MIZ, baby. So I don't know. I think I give so much. All the credit goes to the Chiefs on this one.
Yeah. I mean, as we said, it was a two-sided effort. The offense of the Chiefs, they played very well. They scored on every single possession in the second half. Patrick Mahomes had a great game. I think it was 21 of 27, 3 touchdowns, 130-something passer rating. He played a phenomenal game. He didn't have to air it out like crazy. We thought heading into this game that Patrick Mahomes, with little weapons outside of Travis Kelce, was going to have to go fucking berserk for them to win this game. And that's why we were confident in him throwing for 300 passing yards. And he didn't have to do that. So the fact that he didn't have to do that, again, speaks highly about what the Chiefs defense was able to do to the Eagles. But I still think you're up 10 and heading into the second half, you're the Philadelphia Eagles. That's your style of play. You go get it. You run the ball, you play good defense, you get after the quarterback. When you have a 10-point lead, that's the best opportunity for the defense to get sacks. You couldn't get one sack because you know the Chiefs are going to throw the ball. But credit to the Chiefs for not abandoning the run. Even down 10, Pacheco had like 76 yards rushing. Yep. And that allows them to stay balanced. Juju, good game. Travis Kelce, big game. They performed.
You want my take?
Yeah, I want your take.
No one asked me what I think.
What do you think, Matan?
I think that the Eagles are proved in this Super Bowl that they are not as good of a team as people thought they were.
Facts.
They spent the whole season playing mid-teams, no top-tier teams. They beat a terrible Giants team in the playoffs and then a broken 49ers team. Yes, J. Bobby?
No, I was gonna refute that. I will say the Eagles are legit. Jalen Hurts is legit. And they had I went to the bathroom at halftime. Every Chiefs fans were fucking panicking. The Eagles, they were doing their fucking chant, and everyone wanted to cry. I was in the bathroom, right? The guy said, yo, bro, you might as well go look at Rihanna because the Chiefs ain't doing shit. And the guy looked like he wanted to cry, bro. Don't do that. The Eagles are a good team, bro. They just had Patrick Mahomes on the other side. He did what he needed to do.
I agree.
Don't do that to them. And I want to say,
I was a Giants fan, bro.
I know. But I'll get out here after this. I'll leave y'all alone. Did y'all say anything about Jalen Hurts? Because he proved that he's him.
We're getting there. We haven't gotten there yet.
We're going to get on Hurts,
but
it's on the docket.
Eagles are terrible, man. The fans are horrible people, but come on, man.
Let me finish my point real quick. I agree with you, and I don't want to discredit the Eagles. They had an incredible season, and they're obviously a great team. But I still think that the AFC was just so much more stacked than the NFC was, that the Eagles didn't get a chance to play a team at the caliber of the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills. And I think they would have lost in the playoffs if they had met those guys earlier, where they played some mid to bad teams. I still think the Eagles are great. They deserve to be the best team in the NFC, no doubt. But my point is to say their defense met a really a stud offense in the Super Bowl, and that's why they lost.
I don't agree with your statement.
Hey, can I just say this? Debo and Ayuk were right. They were right about the Eagles secondary being able to get taken advantage of.
Well,
I mean, yeah, Adam, I'm trying to find the stat here. Adam,
but Mahomes only threw for 180 yards.
Yeah.
They ended up beating the Eagles with a rush more so than they did with the pass.
Two thoughts. One, I disagree
also
with your
defense.
I disagree with your statement. I disagree with it because if anything, it proved to me that the Eagles did belong. To put up 35 against the Chiefs, to go toe-to-toe with the team in the NFL that we were like is the best outside of the Eagles, proved to me that they belong. Jalen Hurts, I mean, granted, outside of that A.J. Brown throw, he had some really nice throws, but he didn't dominate through the air we would have thought they needed to. And yes, they took their foot off the gas a little bit, but at the same time, for me, I thought the Eagles showed that they belong. I thought the Eagles showed that they're a team moving forward that is going to be consistently dominating, and you can't take away the fact that they're in the NFC and it was an easier conference. They won, and the games that they needed to, they played those in front of them, and they dominated in the way that they needed to, and they came out and put up 35 in the Super Bowl. That is not something to say they are not as good as what they showed.
And they lost when it mattered. And to Jack's point, about them, that kind of exposing that Chiefs defense, everything, that Eagles defense, the pass defense, everything that Ayuk and Debo were kind of talking about. The Eagles, they didn't play many good quarterbacks this week, so this year in 2022. So shout out Marcus Mosher for bringing this together. But the games that they had to face Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, and Rodgers again. They played Rodgers twice, I guess.
Who? The Eagles?
No, they only played him once, right? I don't know why he has Rodgers
make any sense.
I think he mistaked here, but Mahomes, Dak, Rodgers, Lawrence, and Goff, they gave up 33.4 points per game. That is a lot of points. So, yes, they had a good season overall. They played a lot of bad teams, and we're not taking that away from them. Did they belong in the Super Bowl? Yes, they were a really good team. But again, you mentioned it yesterday, Matan. Their route in the playoffs, their route to the Super Bowl in the playoffs was nothing to be scared of, right? You play a Giants team that isn't very good. We all know isn't very good. They didn't really deserve to be there, but they were there, and they smacked them. Sure. They played the 49ers team with no quarterback. They played, Josh Johnston,
Josh Johnson.
It's just not going to happen. They're not going to win that game.
And then you meet the juggernaut that is the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. You're going to give up points. You're not going to dominate like you dominated the last 2 games, and that's all I'm trying to say.
So the Eagles got exposed.
Well, but also, okay, but
I don't think
the
so.
thing is, at the same time, and my argument to my own argument is that they got exposed, except for the fact that they're playing against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
and that's the other side. And we're going to get to Jalen Hurts because
they didn't get exposed at all, in my opinion. I think Jalen Hurts looked incredible. He was the best player on the field.
The defense got exposed, which is the subject of conversation.
Yes, exactly.
Jalen Hurts we're going to get to, and I'll let Matan
The offense was dominant yesterday. There's no doubting that.
No.
And
yeah.
I'm just saying, I think people were giving credit to the Eagles' defense being able to win games for them, and I don't think they were actually as good as people say. Like, just because they dominated the last 2 games doesn't mean that whatever.
What they need is a run stop and dog in the middle as an inside linebacker or something like that. Because I know Pacheco's great and all, but they have no. I think that's their one weakness is that guy that can really come in and stop the run. They don't really got much there.
Let's talk about Jalen Hurts though, because we're trying to get to him. Did Jalen Hurts solidify himself as the best, if one of the best, if not the best rushing quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, he's one of the best. Real quick on that last note from Jack. Jordan Davis, they drafted in the first round.
He didn't play at all.
He played, I think, 15 snaps. Now, that's bad on the Eagles management.
But there might have been a reason for that. We don't know.
There might have been a reason. But, I mean, if he played 15 snaps, then that means he was good enough to play. He just wasn't doing his thing. So, I mean, also, Eagles coaching staff or whatever we're doing there, like, we also got to be able to understand, like, you draft somebody in the first round to produce immediately and he's not playing, that's something to look at as well. To Jalen Hurts, I think he's one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league. I don't think that's something new. Jalen Hurts had a phenomenal performance, I thought, in the Super Bowl. I thought he played amazing, and I think we watched it together, and there were so many times where we were like, wow, like the way he was put that ball on the money, threaded the needle. He looked great. He looked good running the ball. He looked good passing the ball. Aside from maybe 2 plays, including like a final Hail Mary pass, which I wasn't expecting him to score on that, but it was just a duck. Outside of those things, like Jalen Hurts looked
He had
amazing.
a bad fumble in the middle of the game.
Yeah,
that
he looked amazing.
Cost them a Nick Bolton touchdown.
I think, what Jalen Hurts proved to me is that he's a superstar that can rise to the occasion in a similar way that Patrick Mahomes does. Now, I'm not saying he is Patrick Mahomes, but Jalen Hurts is a guy that obviously, Jack, a couple weeks ago, you brought up him losing his job to at Alabama. Like, that meant nothing. He transferred, goes to Oklahoma, produces in 2 of the best programs in college, comes into the NFL as a second-round pick, I think he was. Second-round pick, and very much overlooked because of a guy that had an inability to throw. And Jalen Hurts just proved to me that he is an iconic personality and leader. He's one that, that's his best quality, in my opinion. So if anything that I was able to take away from Jalen Hurts' performance is his ability to lead a team, and what he said in the post-game presser is everything. And that, to me, is why he's an iconic superstar and becoming one in the NFL, if that is because he said, you either win or you learn. It's not a loss. You got a lot to be proud of, and a leader is someone that says that, not someone that sulks his head. And granted, you're the quarterback and you do that, but it's a saying that I'm going to apply now. I think either you win or you learn is a hard as fuck saying.
Pretty sure it goes down as a loss on the stat sheet.
Well,
sorry.
Okay, but he still carried. I think Jalen Hurts carried the Eagles.
Yeah, he did. 100%.
I will say one thing I kind of took away from this, and me and Jay Bobby were talking about this yesterday, is that I think Jalen Hurts after this game, like you could easily solidify, I think, top 5 quarterback, but I might take him number 3 right now. I might take him over Josh Allen.
I might take him over Joe Burrow.
Whoa.
Yeah, like honestly, I was thinking, I was like, if he wins the Super Bowl, wins Super Bowl MVP, I might take him over Burrow too. Like he's in that 2-3 conversation. He's not Mahomes. No one is Mahomes, but he's close to in that realm now.
I agree, actually.
Life like that. And he was by far the best player on the field yesterday. I don't think it's really that close either. Like Mahomes, yeah, he played a great game, did what he had to do. Jalen Hurts balled the fuck out. He can't play defense. That's not his fault. He looked awesome. I think you can easily say top 2-3 quarterback in the league now.
Yeah, Hurts played he was one of the best players on the field. It was one or two. It was him and Mahomes. It was a quarterback duel yesterday. They both played great.
Let's not forget, Mahomes was nearly perfect yesterday as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Mahomes had, what did he have, a 130 passer rating or something?
Yeah,
he had a great game.
We can't let a quarterback that just chooses to run more and therefore does more in terms of versatility. We can't let that make us think that quarterback is better than another quarterback who's just a better passer.
Okay.
We can't.
That
yeah. Now, in terms of Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow in that conversation, I do think he's in that conversation. He's playing incredibly well. And I think what we wanted to see, what I mentioned going into this week, I said, in the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts, there's a chance he can get exposed here. He didn't get exposed whatsoever. Not only did he not get exposed, but he stepped up to the plate and balled out, right? Outside of a couple of mistakes. If he wasn't in that game,
it was really one mistake that he made. Mm-hmm. It was really one mistake. He dropped the ball on that snap, and it was an unfortunate fumble. That was the only mistake. Other than that, you're right. He was throwing the ball great. Somehow Dallas Goedert's catching everything. He apparently has magnets for hands. But, he was running well. He was throwing well. He was doing everything well. He ran for 3 touchdowns. That's crazy.
He was throwing to his receivers in stride, throwing on a run, really getting out of the pocket, knowing when to run as a quarterback, which as a running quarterback, that's hard because a lot of times you're too eager. He played a phenomenal game. So I think why do we love Burrow so much? Because he can win in big moments. Jalen Hurts didn't win, but he did what he had to do to win in a big moment, and the team lost. So Jalen Hurts, to me, is as good as Joe Burrow is, and I think why we don't put Josh Allen there is because he can't win in those moments. He hasn't yet. And Jalen Hurts has done that, so why are we hesitating putting Hurts up there with Burrow and Allen when he's doing what they're doing?
Because we said do it for a longer period of time. We said Joe Burrow. We wanted to see another year from Joe Burrow.
Weren't people putting Joe Burrow in the top 5 conversation after a Super Bowl?
After a Super Bowl appearance? Were you? No.
Well, I wasn't, no.
Did I? No. I don't think any one of us did. We literally said, I need to see it another year. Jalen Hurts has solidified himself as a top 5 quarterback, but to put him over Joe Burrow, to put him over Josh Allen, guys that have consistently produced, regardless of wins and losses.
You say consistently produced. Joe Burrow has a year of,
going to the Super Bowl twice.
Twice. He went to the Super Bowl once.
Going to 2 straight AFC titles. To me,
that's fair. I'm not saying more. I'm just saying conversation. Conversation. All I'm saying.
I don't want to take anything away from Jalen Hurts, but I think we're trying to take away from Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts is maybe the 4th best quarterback in the NFL or the 5th. He's in that top 5, but to put him at 2 because he made it to the Super Bowl and produced, fantastic. But let's not take away from Joe Burrow. Let's not take away from Josh Allen. I think the top 5 quarterbacks right now, we know 4 of them, without a doubt. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts. Whoever you want at that 4 or 5 spot, if you want to interchange them, so be it.
Aaron Rodgers,
so be it. But let's not attach ourselves to the recency bias of what Jalen Hurts did as a rusher.
Why not? Why can't we attach ourselves to the recency bias of a Super Bowl performance?
I think it's great, but
I'm saying that's what we judge quarterbacks off of.
The Super Bowl performance solidified himself in the top 5. It did not solidify himself in the top 2. Is what I'm saying. Fine.
I would love to look at. I should have done this because I wasn't even expecting a Burrow versus Hurts conversation. But while you guys talk about it, I'll look at Burrow's Super Bowl stats from last year. He played a pretty good game last year, Burrow. Burrow also didn't play a bad game. But I believe just off of what we just saw yesterday, Hurts played a better game than Burrow played in the Super Bowl. Now I agree with what you said, Burrow. When another year made it to the AFC Championship again. Let's see what Hurts can do.
Now, if we want to talk about pure leadership ability. Jalen Hurts might be in that top 3 with Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes for sure.
Yeah,
he's shown, and yes, it's been 1 year.
That's part of being a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I agree with you, but I can't put him 2 or 3 over Joe Burrow. I can't take away what Joe Burrow's been able to do, regardless if he hasn't put up these crazy numbers, because Joe Burrow isn't a rushing quarterback, and the only reason Jalen Hurts deserves to be in that conversation is what he does on the ground. He had a great game passing, but you take away what he did on the ground, and he has a Joe Burrow stat line, frankly.
But that's not fair to say you take away his running game. He's not the same quarterback because that's part of
I agree with you. I'm saying that's why he's solidifying himself in the conversation. But I'm not going to sit here and say he's better than Joe Burrow because he had a great run. You also just used the argument playing against the Giants, playing against the other fucking
Josh Johnson.
The fucking 49ers.
I was talking about the defense.
But what I'm saying is he didn't. It's not like he's going
the
up against crazy teams.
The 49ers have the best defense in the league, bro. And he cooked them.
But Tom, when you're on the field 85% of the game, you're going to get gassed and then get killed.
That's true.
It's just
but still,
I don't know how this turned into me firing away at Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a fantastic quarterback. I said he's a fucking superstar in the making, but I don't want to put him over Joe Burrow just yet.
You don't have to.
I don't want to.
They want to.
I don't know if I'm putting him. I'm not putting him over Joe Burrow right now. I'll probably go Mahomes, Burrow, then Hurts. I think I'm comfortable putting Hurts above Josh Allen right now. They're both rushing quarterbacks right now. Jalen Hurts playing at a higher level. He's not turning the ball over nearly as much. He's making smarter decisions. I think he's better at this moment in time.
Let me ask you a question.
And that's not – I know I've seen Josh Allen do it for longer. I know you're going to bring up that shit.
No,
but
I'm not.
Talking about right now who would I rather have the quarterback of my team. I'm rather have Jalen Hurts.
we always talk about opportunity. If you put Josh Allen behind that offensive line and those same weapons.
Well, that's not the situation that he's given.
I agree with you, but Jalen Hurts is in a great system, and I'm so happy he's thriving.
We've talked so much about Burrow's system, too. I
agree with you.
An amazing receiver duo.
I agree with you, but he's saying he's taking Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen. What I'm saying is Josh Allen's offensive line was fucking trash. They couldn't run the ball at all.
No, you said we all said that's a schematic thing. They don't even try to run the ball.
But they have a worse offensive line. The Eagles had arguably the best offensive line in the last 10 years.
Can I bring some stats into
this? The Bills had multiple Pro Bowlers at offensive line.
Yeah, the both have great. Both Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow have great supporting casts. Both of them had good supporting casts last year, or when they made the Super Bowl. Burrow last year, Hurts this year. Now, if we want to look at Burrow's Super Bowl stats last year, 263 passing yards.
The Bills, by the way, the Bills had no Pro Bowlers on the offensive line. Next.
They had Mitch Morse, Mizzou.
One, sorry.
Burrow won the Super Bowl last year against the Rams, 2022. 22 of 33, 263 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 45 QBR. He added 3 yards on the ground. We're not going to count that.
That was Burrow's Super Bowl stat line?
Super Bowl stat line.
What was it? I totally missed it.
He got smushed.
It
was bad.
It wasn't great.
It was a 45 QBR.
He threw 45 QBR on 263 passing yards and 1 touchdown. Jalen Hurts, 4 touchdowns.
3 rushing. 3 of those rushing.
Yeah, but 4 total touchdowns.
Yeah,
Burrow had 1 total touchdown.
Yeah.
4 total touchdowns. 374 yards total. 304 passing, 70 rushing, 79.7 QBR. He outplayed the fuck out of Joe Burrow.
There are 2 factors there that I think of as to why that could have happened that are unrelated, I think, to Joe Burrow versus Jalen Hurts. The first thing is the Rams defense is way better than from last year, is way better than Chiefs defense from this year. And
agreed.
The Eagles offensive line is way better than the Bengals offensive line from last year.
Totally agree.
So entirely removing their skill set, Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts, those two factors of their team are huge factors in how they performed in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
That I think need to be considered.
Well, absolutely needs to be considered, as does any type of quarterback comparison, right?
Yeah.
As does when comparing Kirk Cousins to Aaron Rodgers. We got to compare what
when
they're
you're on
working
the
with.
field for 22 minutes in the first half, you're going to put up numbers.
What I wanted to bring up stats for, this is weird on the TV. What I wanted to bring up stats for strictly was, how will you perform under the brightest lights?
Oh, yeah.
That's why we give Burrow
That's fair.
the stage that he has. That's why we put him on this pedestal.
That's totally fair.
Jalen Hurts performed under the same lights, the Super Bowl, against a great team in a better fashion than Joe Burrow did last year. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. I think Jalen Hurts, no matter what, has solidified himself as a top 5 and can push himself into top 3 quarterback
Yeah, and
contention.
he's from Texas.
Both quarterbacks.
You have Mahomes versus Hurts, 2 quarterbacks from Texas. At the end of the day, Texas wins, so it doesn't really matter.
Are you wearing a hat that says salad?
Well, Dallas backwards would be
It's a
almost
salad.
salad.
It's
Salad.
Dallas. His
Salad.
hat
Oh, wow.
says Dallas upside down, so
Yeah.
it looks like salad.
Actually a cool hat.
It is
Thanks,
a cool
dude.
hat.
I really appreciate it, man. You
all
know
right.
whose brand this is? Actually Ben DiNucci.
Oh,
Yeah.
Benucci.
Yeah, true brand.
All right, let's talk about Mahomes for a second. Does Mahomes' Super Bowl win this year solidify himself as the greatest talent to ever step on a football field?
Well, you see, when the way you ask the question, yes. Greatest talent, yes. Is he the greatest player ever yet? No. He needs a few more rings.
That changed from last night.
No.
but
the way you
that's-
ask the question, talent. Is he the greatest talent by far?
No, but player.
Then again, there's a lot more talented guys than Brady. The reason Brady's the GOAT is
the
because
wins in the rings.
the rings, the longevity, the stats. He's put up everything to really give him that crown. So Mahomes has to play a lot longer to get into greatest player conversation, but greatest talent, it's not close. We haven't seen the package that Mahomes has. I've said it time and time again. We haven't seen that package before. That sounds very sexual. We haven't seen that package before. And then when you've seen a package like that, it's Peyton Manning, it's an Aaron Rodgers who aren't the best when it comes to playoff time, when it comes to Super Bowl time. Peyton Manning has 2 rings. One of those was completely won off of a defensive performance and defensive season. Rodgers only has 1. So now Mahomes is in that conversation because he has 2 rings. But to put him over Brady, you still can't do that.
I mean, this is crazy. Through 5 seasons as a starter, Patrick Mahomes has 2 Super Bowl wins, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 MVPs, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 5 straight AFC Championship games, 5 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pros, an NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and 12-plus wins in every single season.
Jesus.
So, yes, to be the talent, to be the greatest talent in the first 5 years, yes, fact. You didn't even ask a fact or cap, and it was a fact. But to be the GOAT, he's not there yet. He needs the rings. And it's unfortunate. It is very unfortunate because if you strip away
Not
the
really.
rings.
I don't think it's unfortunate.
I think it's unfortunate because and you asked it last night, or did you ask it? I think when we were sitting around watching the game, you're like, what does Patrick Mahomes need to do to solidify himself as the GOAT? And it was
how
like,
many more rings? Specifically, how many more rings?
So Felipe, you had an interesting answer, though, to that. 4.
Yeah. I think if you ask me, how many more rings does Mahomes need to be the GOAT over Tom Brady? Right now he has 2. I would say he needs 2 more. I think he wins 4. He's the GOAT. He doesn't need 7 because the reason Brady needs 7 is because he doesn't have the full package that Mahomes does, right? He doesn't have all the ability.
Set.
He didn't have the ability that Peyton Manning had, and that's why for so long we needed Brady validation. It was going to be the rings. That's what was going to validate him. Mahomes doesn't need all that, but he does need some rings. But now he has 2, right? First 5 years he has 2. What's to say? Hopefully longevity, and what Brady, that's why I think it's not unfortunate because longevity is something that is really hard to do. So credit to Brady.
And that's what Trey Wingo said last week, which was that, like, nobody's going to get 7 rings. That's absurd. That's not going to happen. But what Mahomes does need to do is do this for a lot longer and win a couple more.
So God willing, 10 more years, Mahomes can get 2 more rings. He's the GOAT.
But my counter to that is then we're now placed in a LeBron versus MJ argument because the reason LeBron cannot be over MJ always comes down to the rings. Now, you brought up last night, LeBron has lost.
It comes down to major failures, which Mahomes hasn't had.
Okay, and you've also said, LeBron lost in the finals. Well, MJ, if you can't lose in the finals if you don't get to the finals.
That's a bad argument.
It's not a bad argument.
Okay, so then Dak is the best quarterback in the league because you can't lose in there because you didn't make it. Like,
dude,
you can't.
I'm talking about 2 of the greatest players of all time. People compare LeBron and MJ. The biggest knock on LeBron's legacy is the fact that he didn't win the same amount of titles and lost in X amount of finals. I'm saying here, in order for Patrick Mahomes to be solidified as better than Tom Brady, he needs to have the same amount of rings because now there's no other question. If he gets less rings, then the counter argument to Patrick Mahomes always being the GOAT or to not being the GOAT over Tom Brady will be the rings.
He needs the same amount of rings, but last time I checked, nobody in their right mind is saying Bill Russell is a better player than Michael Jordan.
Dude, we're talking
or LeBron James. He has 11 rings. There's something to be said about that. 11 rings, 11 championships.
Of course,
means you were the best in 11 straight.
Of course,
not straight years, but 11 years you won 11 rings.
Of course,
nobody's considering that. So yes, that's
what if Mahomes goes on to break all of the fucking all-time season records and playoff records, but only wins 4 rings. And he beats everything Brady has done except for rings. Then he's better than Brady.
I agree with you. I'm just saying the question was that we keep talking about is how do we solidify him? Solidification comes when he has the same amount of rings because that is going to be what Timmy's and Billy's and anyone else on social media is always going to use as a counter. That's all I'm saying. Everyone's going to come back to the rings.
You're saying then there's no argument.
Yes. To make it no argument. To pure solidification, which is a long word.
Pure solidification.
That is a very long word. It might not even be a word.
It might not
It
be.
needs to have 7 rings. That's why I say it's unfortunate. Because from a talent perspective, he is the greatest right now. He is doing things that are unprecedented for a quarterback in his first 5 years.
What Adam is saying is that it's a conversation ender.
I get it.
If Patrick Mahomes gets 7 rings, conversation over.
Yes,
signed,
sealed, delivered.
But
I get it.
No, there's no argument at that point.
What I will say is that there won't be any.
I want to hear what Jack has to say.
I want to hear Jack.
Jack, you're doing great, Jack.
I'm only going to give a quick response right here.
Well, Zoom, I can't butt in because then it just derails the whole argument, and I'm like, we got to get these.
I know. We're throwing it to you in a second.
I'm going to throw it to you in 10 seconds. All I will respond to Adam with, I totally get that will end our conversation. What I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to say is any reasonable argument will be shut down. Any reasonable or unreasonable argument will be shut down. You're saying there won't even be an argument. I'm saying there won't even be any unreasonable arguments if he gets like 4 total rings.
I'm not following the unreasonables, but yeah, Jack, go for it.
I know what you're trying to say, but I don't think.
Well, shit, when you get fucking interrupted like 10 times and stuff. Go ahead.
All right, so we were talking about is Mahomes the GOAT already, right? Yes, that's where we started.
Yes.
Well, it started based off of talent, but then it went to GOAT.
That's the ultimate conversation.
We always start somewhere and then get lost in the sauce. I'd say right now, no. Even like a lot of Chiefs fans, I was like asking a lot of them, hey, like, if Mahomes wins today, will he be the GOAT? Yesterday I was talking to them. A lot of them are basically like, no, not yet. Like, is he more talented? Undoubtedly. It's not even close. You'd be blind if you said that he's not more talented than Tom Brady. But you still need those rings. Because like what Adam said, the reason we don't put LeBron solidify that LeBron is better than MJ is because of those rings. Right? Like LeBron has the longevity over him. LeBron has been to more finals. Like, I like that argument that Adam made too, that, you can't lose a finals if you don't play in it. But Mahomes just needs, I'd say, 2 more. You get to 4, which I think he easily does that maybe in the next 5 years or 3 years.
5 would be crazy if he gets 2 more.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
Well, hold on, I don't think it was done.
Oh.
Were you done?
Oh, no, that's about it. I'm just saying he gets a 4. He's the most talented quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really that, crazy to say. I don't think that's a hot take at this point. But we talk about greatness, not just how talented you are as a quarterback. If we're talking about talent, there's a lot of other guys that could be up there in the greats, but they haven't won those rings. So we got to give Mahomes a few more. But. Now
you want to talk about Patrick Mahomes being better than a lot of other players in the NFL, in NFL history, like in terms of the Peyton Mannings, the Drew Brees. You brought up, I think, Joe Montana last night.
He's not better than Montana.
But no. What I'm saying is based off of pure rings, right? A lot of these great quarterbacks that are in the conversation only have 2, 3, maybe only 1 Super Bowl.
Peyton, Rodgers, Brees, yeah.
So you could have a conversation that they are better. He's better than those guys.
He's still not solidified over those guys.
But then we come back to solidification. In order to solidify Patrick Mahomes as the greatest player of all time,
he needs longevity.
And he needs the rings, which is the unfortunate side of my argument, because he's so fucking talented and we should appreciate for what he's doing right now and what he's going to be able to do. But that's the unfortunate side of the argument.
He needs the longevity, which will bring along passing records. And he obviously has no he needs career records is what he needs, not just like season records.
Yeah. Well, it's think about guys like Barry Sanders or Calvin Johnson, absolute studs that retired early. They're not in those conversations of the best running back or the best receiver of all time. Maybe the stats aren't quite there for you. I would say Barry Sanders probably is. But why is Emmitt Smith probably the best running back ever? Because he did it for fucking ever.
Longevity, yeah.
And that's the reason I don't want to bring up LeBron. This is a football podcast, but that's why I think LeBron might have a really good argument for being the GOAT, is because he's doing the shit. He's 38 years old.
I agree.
I think anybody who watches LeBron knows that he is the most talented and most gifted player to ever play. The difference is that Mike was just a fucking killer and didn't lose, and he only played for 12 years. LeBron has all the records, he has every record. He's also got the size. He's got arguably just as much ability, scoring and better ability in every other category, rebounding, passing. So I think that's
Felipe's point,
the Mahomes type of.
Is that your point? Essentially, that Brady played for such an extended period of time, therefore he does have the stats. But if in the event of a Michael Jordan, you play 12 years,
you can't play forever.
Longevity. The point is longevity is key.
Yeah, no, I just think that
all these factors need to be considered.
That's like another reason why you don't put. Well, and that's another reason why you don't put a guy like Patrick Willis as maybe the best linebacker, because he retired early. If he plays the rest of his career, maybe wins a ring or something like that. Sure, let's put him in that conversation. I love Patrick Willis, but he's not in the Ray Lewis conversation. He's not up there.
What I think Patrick Mahomes solidified this past weekend with his second Super Bowl is now he's in a conversation with Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers.
I think he solidified himself as something else too.
All right, get to that in a second. So what he needs to be the GOAT, the reason I don't think he needs – what I think he needs to supplement – 2 more rings. If he gets 4 rings, I think he can do it. He needs some career passing records. Yeah. He needs most passing yards in a career or whatever it is, touchdowns. He needs a few of those records that all the greats, even the guys that aren't in the GOAT conversation, Brett Favre had those records before they retired. They get those records. He needs a few of those, and then you can say, nah, he's the GOAT. But as far as undisputed GOAT, what you had to say, Adam, yeah, he needs a few more.
Yes, Jack?
Think about what Felipe just said there and just take it in, because I agree with that. The fact that Patrick Mahomes in 5 years is already on Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers level.
Fucking insane.
Totally
crazy.
Totally.
And that's not a crazy thing to say. That's very much a fair take. This guy, just think about that. When you said that, Felipe, I was like, holy fuck, that is
We are watching one of the greatest players to ever do it, and he is only on a trajectory to solidify himself as that.
Yeah, which is why also we said like we wanted the Chiefs to win, or at least I said I wanted the Chiefs to win, because there's something to be said about being fully present in watching potentially the greatest player of all time. Now, Brady, for me, just obviously being young and Felipe is more of a historian, can talk about it, but like I feel I was more present for the back half of Tom Brady's career, and I wish I could have appreciated his early parts of his career. So that's why watching Patrick Mahomes right now, it hits so much harder for myself because I feel like we're at that beginning stage. We're seeing the beginning years of Brady. But to the point of what I was trying to make, I think if there's anything that has been solidified from last night's Super Bowl win, it's the Chiefs are the new dynasty similar to what the Patriots were, right? Yeah. The Kansas City Chiefs are the new Patriots dynasty.
Yeah, they win. I think you mentioned it last night. They just executed.
And
what this Chiefs team does is execute. And they could face a more talented team, which the Eagles were a more talented team. But at the end of the day, you execute, you win. That's what the Patriots did for so long. And that's why they had 2 dynasties in 2 decades.
Let's just put it into context, too. From 2001 to 2019, the Patriots had 15 11-plus win seasons. 15.
Jesus.
In the 5 years that Patrick Mahomes has been the starter for the Kansas City Chiefs, they've had 12-plus wins every year. They've been to 5 straight AFC titles in those 5 years. From 2011 to 2018, that Patriots team went to 8 straight AFC titles.
Jeez.
The Chiefs have currently been to 5 in a row.
Right.
And they've won 2 of the last 4 when they've gone to the Super Bowl.
You also, in a similar vein, like you can never count the Chiefs out in any game. And for so long, we said that about Tom Brady and the Patriots of just like, it does not matter what the score is. Yes, you're down 10 at halftime, but the Chiefs are very much in this game.
Very much.
We always said that about the Patriots. The Patriots were never out of a game.
Ever. They just execute.
And then they obviously proved that in the Super Bowl when they were down 28-3. But
execute.
they just like come out and beat you.
In terms of dominance, the Patriots were the team that everybody hated because they just knew how to win. And the Chiefs are that team now. It doesn't matter. They lose Tyreek Hill. They don't have the supporting cast offensively that they used to have, and they still go out and win.
And I feel like, if anything, this year solidified that argument in terms of them knowing how to win. Right?
Like they're still not a dynasty, to be fair.
But I'm saying they are the new. I think they need one more to be that dynasty. Personally,
dynasty is 3 rings, so definitely.
Is that the actual fact of a dynasty?
I don't know if it's that.
It's definitely that.
But in terms
you
of
need 3 for a dynasty.
Okay, so coming back to the argument, I think the Patriots and the Chiefs, like the Chiefs are on the Patriots' trajectory of that next dynasty.
Jack, factor cap.
Factor cap is one of those days in the cafeteria. I mean, I think they're obviously the next best dynasty. I think they're gonna be that team to beat every single year. You're gonna be like, all right, who is better than the Chiefs? That's gonna be the narrative. Like, and everyone is gonna try and find, this team, they can beat the Chiefs this year. Oh, this team. But damn well they probably can't. Maybe in one game sample size they can do it and upset them, right? But every damn year the Chiefs are going to be in the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. You're going to have to run through them if you want to raise the Lombardi. And that's the scariest thing is the Chiefs lost their best weapon, arguably, in Tyreek Hill this offseason and still went out and won that shit. And it doesn't matter who the hell you have on that team if you're the Chiefs. You're going to go out and you're going to win because you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. As long as those 2 guys are there, I don't think it matters who else is on that roster.
I agree with you. So before I move on, what is your question?
I guess it's another argument, so it depends. But we talked about this.
We got to wrap soon, but go.
If the Chiefs and Eagles played a 7-game series, who wins?
I don't know. I don't think I knew who was going to win that game until the last minute last night, bro.
I know where you want to get with that. The Eagles are a better team, so they would win most of the 7 games. They'd win.
I don't know,
but I just think the better quarterback at the end of the day does make a huge
difference. It's going
difference.
to game 7.
So I still think it's probably going 7.
It's going 7 games.
I would give up my left pinky toe to see a 7-game series of this. But if I had to pick in 7, you go with the better quarterback. You go with Patrick Mahomes, but the Eagles are a much better team. They're better constructed. It's a lot harder to get up for 7
I think
games
it's the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are better coached and they have a good enough team to beat them.
They are better coached.
It's going 7 games no matter what.
I agree. I think it could go 7 games, but
we were talking about it, though. Imagine if the Super Bowl was every single week. So over the next 7 weeks, every single Sunday, you'd have Super Bowl Sunday, and they would travel back and forth to their stadiums, and that's what it would look like for the Super Bowl.
So much money. NFL, get on that. What are you doing?
Nah, player safety.
No, how about no? We'd get 55 fucking injuries the last year.
No, that's exactly what Felipe
I'm not talking
said.
about logistics. I'm just saying pure entertainment value. That's why I think the Eagles end up winning in 7 games because that last game's at the link.
That would be wild.
All right, that was
all right.
They don't matter.
We started about. What'd you say?
I was just saying. You think Patrick Mahomes gives a fuck about being in the link?
Yeah, agreed. It doesn't matter.
Like, I don't know. It's purely
Good
hypothetical.
take, Jack. That was fire.
Good take, Jack. We started to hint at it. Let's do it, and then we'll wrap up. Who do you think is winning the Super Bowl next year?
The Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to get better. Because they're going to go out and add like a D-Hop or a Keenan Allen. They only have 2 wide receivers under contract for this upcoming season. So.
I agree. I think the Chiefs are going to. I don't know if they'll win next year. Maybe any of these other teams right now who are like the young studs, the Bengals, the Bills, even the Eagles. Like they're still going to be really good. But the Chiefs, I think are up. The probably minus odds, right? Like they're probably the best.
Well,
bet.
they're not going to be minus.
I would love to see Mahomes get one ring closer.
Oof.
Yeah, dude. I haven't thought much about this one, but like gut feeling.
Dolphins. Yeah, me too.
There were a few players at the Super Bowl last night that weren't playing in the Super Bowl, and one got an award. There was only one NFC East player at the stadium last night that received an award.
Did he get booed?
And it was Dak Prescott. Yeah, for winning a fucking an award
which is so
for giving back, which is horrible. So I think the Cowboys win the Super Bowl next year. Dak Prescott stepped foot in that stadium. He knows what the Super Bowl feels like now. He's going to want to get there. And I think – and look, there hasn't been a repeat champion of the NFC East in like 16, 17 years or some shit like that. So you know the Eagles won't win. The Giants definitely won't win. The Cowboys are going to win the division and go first seed straight to the Super Bowl.
You know what sucks about the NFL? You know what sucks about the NFL season and the Super Bowl being over is now it's a new season. So Felipe's back on his shit. Yeah. Felipe is right back on the Cowboys are winning the Super Bowl next year. What's up, Jack? Who you got? Tell me how you feel about Felipe's take.
He's just fucking ridiculous, man. We can't go one day. It's a 2023-24 season now, and he's going to do this bullshit. Oh, my Lord.
Well, that's exactly why.
Who's winning the Super Bowl?
I mean, I'm going to be like Felipe. It's the San Francisco 49ers, of course, obviously.
Lock.
You figure out the whole Trey Lance, Brock Purdy situation, training camp. You're going to have one of the guy coming out as a stud. You got that same defense coming back. You're going to have the same weapons on offense. This is the window right now. We're going to go out and win that motherfucker.
Hey, good luck.
So should I say the Dolphins?
No.
Adam, that's not as realistic, my guy.
Y'all aren't even top 10 in odds.
Adam, you and I are going to enjoy the postseason without it.
Tua's going to be doing his judo lessons.
Yeah. Wait, let me just, because the Game Day NFL, shout out, phenomenal account, just put out the top 10 odds to win the Super Bowl next year.
Best account on Twitter? Is it on Twitter or on Instagram? Or both?
I think it's both.
Go follow the Game Day NFL on all socials.
Yeah.
Facts.
and hoops and MLB into that shit.
What's the stat?
It was top 10 odds. The Jets, I think, were in that, which is crazy too.
Really?
It did not get posted yet. Let me check social copy check. It's going to be right here, guys.
But yeah, no, look, just to wrap up, like the idea of odds, can't rule out the Chiefs. Obviously, we've seen that. I think
they're going to be the favorite.
They're going to be the favorite. They're going to get better. The Eagles can't rule them out. The Niners, obviously, they didn't get to the Super Bowl because of the quarterback. Like, I'm so excited for next year already.
Me too. The one thing we didn't mention about the Chiefs, though, going forward is that Travis Kelce is 33 years
getting
old.
Older.
And he
not getting
has
younger.
been in the league for 10 years, and like he's definitely not getting younger, and like he's still at the top of his game.
Yeah,
like there's no doubt.
I
think he could play at the top of his game for the next, like, say, 3 years.
I got 2.
And then you give it 2?
I give it 2 years.
Yeah.
Just a grueling.
It's whatever,
grind.
same shit. 2-3 years. And then eventually he's going to decline or he's going to just retire,
Yeah, but the middle of the pack, Travis Kelce is still top tight end.
But
that's where the Gronks come along, right?
But that also goes back to why they have to add weapons, right? So
they have to add weapons.
They have to spend the offseason figuring something out to add a piece.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to
receiver one.
Kansas City Chiefs are going to add DeAndre Hopkins. Going to be scary hours.
All right, Chiefs or odds to win the Super Bowl next year. Chiefs number 1, Bills 2, Niners 3.
Bills.
Good shit, Jack.
Ooh, Jack.
Bengals 4.
I saw earlier. If you look, it'll say like by Jack _Parodi.
Yeah. Bengals 4. Eagles 5, Cowboys 6, Ravens 7, Chargers 8, Jags 9, and then surprise number 10, the New York Jets.
The Eagles at 5 is disrespectful. It's very disrespectful.
Because the Jets are drafting a quarterback in the offseason, right?
Yeah, drafting Aaron Rodgers.
Just getting A-Rod.
Cow.
Facts. Forgot about that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yo,
a really good Super Bowl.
Hell of a season.
Insane
season. Unreal Super Bowl. Great game. Thanks for tuning in. I guess we'll see you next time, right? Yeah. Don't forget to follow our socials at the Caps Off Podcast on TikTok, Caps Off Pod on Instagram. Go to thegameday.com for any sports betting offers.
Yep, please do.
Check out your boy J Bobby on J Bobby versus the Internet on the Game Day.
He looks great back there.
You look great. And we'll see you next time.
I want a closing note.
Close it.
Yeah, I was going to say there was going to be a close. There needs to be a closing note.
We waited till Tom Brady was 38
Oh, God.
to call him the undisputed GOAT because that's when he got his 7 ring. That was something like that, around 40 years old. We're having conversations when Patrick Mahomes is 27.
Wow, you and I were about to have very different closing notes.
That's all I wanted to say.
We were going to have very different closing notes.
We'll see you next time. Peace.
Wow. Is Jalen Hurts officially a top 3 quarterback? Let us know in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and join our Discord. Let's debate that exact topic. We'll see you there.